All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to today's guest. We have Jess Procini. I think I pronounced that right. Who's
Yep.
out in Pennsylvania, and really excited to talk to her. Jess is an emotional eating healer, and I came across her Instagram page a few months back and immediately saw the impact that she was making, and just wanting to inspire her audience, and in an area of life where I knew she had overcome some challenges, and just enjoying inspiring others to do the same. And I know we would have an awesome conversation, and reached out to her, and she obliged. So here we are, and we're gonna share some fun, some love and light with you guys. So without further ado, for me, I want to introduce you guys to Jess. And Jess, if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all that good stuff.
Yep. So I'm Jessica Procini. I am the founder and creator of Escape from Emotional Eating. I've been doing this work a little under 9 years, so almost 9 years. And I'm really on a mission to help high achieving individuals use food as fuel by healing the roots of their emotional eating so they can fuel their bodies, their minds, and most of all, their life purpose.
I love it. I love it. And I was calling you Jess, which I have my ex, who's still my close friend, is Jess. And then I talked to another Jess the other day, but I just heard you refer to yourself as Jessica. So
I
we
go
don't know
both
each other
ways.
so well where I could just call her by short name.
No,
So.
I go both ways. You can call me Jess.
All right. I just realized that I looked on your thing. I was like, wait, does it say Jess or Jessica? And it said the full thing. And then you said the full thing. I was like, I just made myself so comfortable.
No worries.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm always curious, like, for your journey, because for all of us, like, we have, we have challenges in life in all different areas. And then, I'm so excited for any of us when we have a light bulb come on where now we have some new awareness that can help us, evolve in that area of life. And for you, how did that happen? And, how did you get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to share this with other people, from there?
So my light bulb moment did not come easily. Pretty much I had been an emotional eater for a majority of my life. My earliest memory of emotional eating was when I was 6 years old. And whenever life got tough or overwhelming or difficult or challenging, I would always turn to food. Food was always there. I could easily hide is doing with it by working out, eating healthy, but you can very easily overeat and emotionally eat healthy food too. So through my entire life, I always had this very torturous relationship with food. It was very much like this love-hate relationship. Like I always felt like I needed it, but I know I shouldn't. And would find myself in just this cycle of overeating, knowing I shouldn't have done that, then feeling shame and guilt and bloat, trying to work it off, and then being right back in the cycle again. And I tried many, many different ways to really find peace with food. I tried even going to nutrition school, binge ate my way through that. I spent over 900 hours on the therapy couch, never touched my relationship with food. I never could bring myself to go to Overeaters Anonymous. It didn't resonate with me. And I come from a long history of addiction. So going the 12-step program route, like just never, like I just couldn't do it. And I just really felt hopeless. I felt like there just needed to be another option for people like me, where therapy and Overeaters Anonymous were not options. And it was a very dark time for me when I sort of made this decision of, I really have two options. I can continue this cycle with food, and I know how that feels. I know how that'll end up. Or I can find a way to heal it. And I chose finding a way to heal it. And through a lot of research and a lot of trial and error and just like really diving deeply into my relationship with food, I found answers. And to the point where now it's been over 4 years since I have emotionally eaten. I do not have a compulsive relationship with it anymore. It is a peaceful, loving one. Um, Food is fuel to me, and it is a powerful asset now, where before it was such a method of secrecy and self-destruction. And it really is what brought me and created my work, because at first I really created it for myself, the tools, the process, the step by step. And now I've helped hundreds of people in my programs and retreats find freedom and peace from food too. And it's just become this like passion of mine, because I really feel like there is a lot of emotional eating going on in the world. I feel like it's a big root of why a lot of people are unhealthy, and there's a lot of stereotypes and shame around it. And that's why I want to use my voice to educate people about it, what it is, what it isn't, and how we can change it.
I love it. I love it. And this is why I was one of the reasons I was excited to talk to you, Jessica. I'm calling you your full name now, is because I know how much of a struggle it can be for any of us in humanity that are reaching for anything outside of us in order to try to use that as a way to feel good on the inside. I know that that's just a losing battle, no matter what it is. When it
Yeah.
comes to food, because it's something that is more a part of all of our daily lives, like it's like a part of life, versus some of the other things where, yeah, you could be doing certain addictions every day, but it's not really like a part of life that you've been experiencing since you were like a little kid all the way. Like this is like such a innate part of living.
Yeah.
So when it's in so when the challenge or the struggle or the addiction is inside of that, I mean, that's, I'm sure, just that's got to be even more like intense. Because and I've actually had some close friends that, and a lot of times people think, like, for instance, I don't know if all of your clients, or I'm sure there's a percentage where the emotional eating leads to like eating disorder as well, like maybe like it goes beyond like anorexia, bulimia, there's the main ones that we hear about. But I've
Mhm.
had a guy friend that I've lived with, really close friend of mine, that struggled with this, and it led to an eating disorder for years and years. And it was
Yeah.
some really challenging stuff. And a lot of people don't think that guys can have. I mean, it's for all people. It could be male,
Yeah.
female. So yeah, you're inspired to say something. I can tell.
Yes, I'm trying to jump in.
Go go go.
So I work with a particular set of people who are very high achieving people. So they don't really fit the typical stereotype of emotional eaters or even eating disorders. You know, I work with people who don't have hundreds of pounds to lose, who, have a certain level of success and drive in them. But the problem is that the way they're coping with a lot of the stress and pressure and responsibility in their lives is with food. And what is available is that when we heal the emotional eating, they're able to take that energy back and channel it to whatever they want, whether it's to be a better mother, partner, husband, anything and everything. We just have the opportunity to then make a choice. And one of like a great example of like the power of healing our relationship with food is my client Sandy. And she is a top doctor in her field. And she came to me and she was like, I'm frustrated when I eat, and I'm eating when I'm frustrated. Help. And through our work together and the tools that I teach, we were able to not only manage her frustration, but transform it so she could reclaim her energy. She stopped emotionally eating. It's been over 10 months for her since she's emotionally eaten. And because of the energy and brain space that she got back from no longer being in the emotional eating cycle, she has created an organization that trains ER doctors to identify victims of sex trafficking. And that's just one example of like what is available to us when we do the deeper work to heal the roots of our emotional eating and really truly live freely.
I love that. What Jessica just shared right there is so powerful when it comes to, and this is why I do what I do, Jessica, because I want to help people have the, I call it the light bulb moment, but really it's just becoming aware of our present moment state of being, like how we're being, and it can only be in the moment. And knowing that when we're in a state of being where we can at least be, at peace or content or anything that feels better than that. Like if we're, happy, excited, like if we're having fun in life, we're passionate, we're being loving, all of these things. Those moments, like we're connected to a power, to a source, you call it whatever you want to call it, God, universe, love, all that is, spirit, source energy, that really can, now we can hear it, we can see it, we can feel it, we can experience cool synchronicities, and we can have, things that pop into our mind that become inspirations for ways that we want to live our life. Like you just mentioned, Sandy, what she's doing with ER doctors to, create, to be able to identify sex trafficking and those sort of things. Like
Yeah,
that's not so available to us, like those insights and creating those things when we're, disconnecting ourselves because we're trying to manipulate the outside world to feel good, whether it comes through emotional eating or anything else out there that we may be trying to, we're just not available to creating things like that.
exactly.
Because we have our own healing to do. So we can't go out and, like, I love, like Oprah says it, like we can't pour from an empty cup. Like if we're not like
Hmm.
filling our cup up when it comes to anything we need to heal from, then to do the things that, call it like our purpose to be here, or whatever you want to call it, it's just very challenging when you have your own things. And it's a forever journey. Like there's always going to be evolving that all of us do while we're here. But I love what you're doing because you're helping people identify, if that is something that is a struggle for them, then that's a good place to start for
Yeah.
anyone.
I mean, emotional eating is a method of avoidance, distraction, denial, and sabotage. And if you're looking to live a life of purpose, right, to be walking a journey of integrity or to really just show up in the world as your authentic self, it's really, 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 if not impossible, really hard to do that when you are stuffing things down with food. When you're not willing to look at how you're feeling, not willing to use your voice in certain situations, and you're just silencing yourself with food. Like it's so you can't hear your own inner guidance because number one, your fear based mind is so loud at whenever you're in the emotional eating cycle, and then we'll use food as a way to quiet that voice, but what we're actually silencing is our true self, our intuition, our inner guidance. Um, and it's a terrible place to live because it creates an added layer of anxiety on top of things because we sort of feel like we have a purpose, but we don't know what it is or where it is or where to find it because we're just in such a pattern of avoidance and denial and distraction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love where this conversation is going because now I get to
Mhm.
ask you what I'm really curious about. Just some of the foundational things that you discovered for you that, helped you kind of be this bright light that you're being for so many people, and the example you're setting. And then like the foundational things that you could share that, anybody listening could benefit from, whether this is their exact challenge or, because pretty much everything, a lot of things, I won't say everything, but a lot of things that you're sharing and helping people with would help people in lots of areas.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's also why I wanted to have you on, because I knew that whatever you were sharing foundationally to help your clients is going to help anyone listening. But
yeah.
here, they're ready to hear.
So it's sort of like I always say to my clients, how you do food is how you do everything. Like if you want to be more abundant, more peaceful, more loving, uh, you know, just more authentically yourself, look at how you're eating, look at how you're showing up to nourishing yourself. It's all right there. But if someone is listening and is like, how can I get more? And where do I even begin with this? I invite you to come over to my website, escapefromemotionaleating.com, and start with the free quiz. So there's a free quiz. So if you're using food to cope, soothe, or escape, enter your name and email, escapefromemotionaleating.com, and take the free quiz. And that right there is such an eye-opening experience, because we are so entrenched in this old conversation of what to eat and how much you eat. And that quiz starts to open your eyes to why are you eating, which is everything that I'm about. Then from there, once we really identify what is going on in your relationship with food, the first step that I take with all of my clients is what I call building emotional fitness. So it's called emotional eating for a reason. The solution is in the name. So we start with energy and we start with emotions. And first, starting to shift your nervous system out of a hypervigilant fight, flee, freeze state and into a rest restorative state. And I teach tools like digesting emotions and the fear flush and other tools that I at first created for myself and now teach my clients, so that they can start to recognize their own power in the situation, in any situation, but especially one with food. So when they start practicing these tools and seeing that they have this other choice, like it's like before the only option was numbing out with food, now it's numbing out with food or let's use the tools. So they start to use the tools and they start to see like, wow, food really isn't cutting it anymore. It's not doing it for me. It's not giving me what I actually really need. These tools are so much better. And then from there, we start to move into an untangling of physical hunger versus emotional hunger. So we have two types of hunger, and a lot of people don't even know that. They just sort of feel hungry and eat, when there's actually different types of hunger. And as we untangle that, people start to learn, you know, when they're emotionally hungry, why, what is it that they really need, and giving themselves the true nourishment, not just an easy replacement with food. So those are the first two steps. There's a lot more steps, and I'd be happy to go into more. But that's just the beginning. Like, I recommend taking that quiz, escapefromemotionaleating.com, and then going from there, and we can start to unlearn really this pattern of emotional eating, because that's truly what it is. I definitely have seen a lot of people want to group emotional eating with other eating disorders, sort of like what we were talking about before. But the differentiation between emotional eating and something like anorexia or bulimia is that emotional eating is a learned behavior, often unconscious. So we have to unlearn it in order to truly heal it. And that's everything that I do in my work.
Super interesting. You're opening eyes up, I know, because I'm sure there's so many people out there that the only thing they think about when it comes to challenges with food are the main eating disorders that we hear about. In fact, you opened my eyes up to this. I hadn't seen too much talked about. I can't think of anything else really I've talked about, but it made so much sense when I was going on your page and just kind of observing the things that you were sharing. So I think it's awesome what you're doing, because it's something that anytime we can give someone, again, the only reason I do what I do is to help humanity have some new awareness for themselves, because without it, if it's a blind spot, if it's something that we're living out in our life and we don't even know that we're doing it or that it's affecting us, then we don't have a choice to do anything about it.
Right.
And I've been there with different things, in my life, just something as simple as being critical of myself or critical of others, and not even realizing that you're doing it on a regular basis and it's affecting my right now energy, and how, basically what's reflecting out into the world is going to be, based off of that. So
Yeah.
I love what you're doing because it's just to help people have the aha moments. You know, for anybody out there listening, um, anything that Jessica is sharing, if there's even a slight like interest in or an energetic pull to go do that quiz she mentioned, I'd highly recommend it because what I've learned about life is the next step on our journey. You know, it's a really good next step if we feel any slight, you know, curiosity or interest in wanting to discover something. There's some clarity there for us that, you know, without the life experience, you're not going to be able to get the clarity of, is this
Yeah.
direction that I need to go, or is there another direction? Like, so I'm so pro life experience. So I love what you're doing because you're definitely helping people I know already, and just giving people a new awareness that, maybe there is a blind spot or something going on that maybe you're not even aware about. So
Yeah, and that was really what was going on for me. There was a major blind spot. Like I never considered myself an emotional eater because I thought to be an emotional eater, you had to look like those people on TV, that were on my 600-pound life. And that wasn't my life. And that's when I discovered, whoa, like I am an emotional eater, and I'm sort of like this other type that no one is talking about, where I just, you know, use food to manage my stress and my anxiety and my overwhelm. And um, I'm so grateful, for finally discovering that about myself, as difficult as it was to like face that. I really kind of like struggled with it. Like, is that really true about me? And um, is this really real? And then when I started to put the pieces together, it was like the missing piece. And I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, I was like, I don't worry about my body. And to be a woman, and like, to say that in today's day and age where you don't worry about your body, when that used to be all I did was worry about food and my body. I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy to think that we can live without that burden. Um, and discovering that I was an emotional eater really was the thing that set me free from trying diets, trying the next thing to, manage my weight or whatever. It just really just honestly saved my life to discover that and then be able to heal it.
Jessica, do you find that a lot of the clients that you work with, or just from your experience, are having all their meals as like, if you're emotional eating, is that like the majority of the times that they're eating, or in like snacks as well, or is it just like sometimes like it's like part of like how they're? I'm really curious because we eat so I mean 3 times a day for most of us minimum, and then whatever
Yeah.
snacks. So I'm just curious how much it's going on from what you've seen.
It varies person to person. A lot of emotional eating can happen in the afternoon and evening. Um, that's pretty typical. But for some people, it starts first thing in the morning, and it can show up as, I know I'm full, but I'm going to finish whatever's in front of me. Or it can show up as like, I just ate and I'm still searching in the pantry for something else. Or it can show up even in this really unique situation that a lot of people don't think is emotional eating, which is where we don't eat. And then it sets us up for a lot of overeating later on. Um, so as far as like frequency and how much it happens, it really depends on the person. I will tell you that when life hands us challenges, it is definitely the first thing to flare up because it is the place that we like to hide. So like the true test of, being free is that when life hands you a difficult situation, can you navigate it, from a place of peace and calm and not using food? And that is a true, all right, milestone moment. So yeah, as far as frequency and how much, it depends, but the commonalities are behind the why. Like, why are you eating? And that's really where a lot of my came in, of like seeing this pattern that not only was happening for me but for other people, and then from there being able to identify the roots, and then that led to like the pathways to freedom that I also teach as well.
I love it. I love it. Jessica, you just said something there that's so valuable for any of us, no matter where we are in life, as a great reminder. She said that when life hands us challenges, can we navigate them from a place of being peace or at calm? Like that's so important. Like for for everything that I like share and what's most important to me by far, and it's just present moment awareness of what's my vibe and what's my right now state of being. And I know that if I'm anything where it feels, if I'm not at peace and calm, like say I like, I'm just you'll use the emotional energy scale. Like if I dip down below peace and calm, now I'm kind of at a place of maybe now I'm like a little worried or frustrated, or maybe I'm a little pessimistic. Like, can this really, work out for me, or all of these things? And that's just not a place where any of us are equipped to have, because if we think about it, like depending on what our frequency is right now, what our energy is right now, the only thoughts that we'll have come into our mind are going to be a match to that. So if right now I'm in an energy of being frustrated, am I going to have like loving, happy, joyous, blissful thoughts? No, because I'd be in an energy of happy, joyous, blissful if I was having those thoughts. So it's very obvious. And we try so much as human beings to figure out life's challenges from places of being in that moment, disconnecting ourselves from, the true like source of like the information, like or just even think about the frequency that we just talked about. Like, how are we going to solve a problem when we're in the energy of the same energy that the problem was created in? If we're frustrated,
Yeah.
we're trying to like solve it, and we're just like becoming more frustrated. So that
Yeah.
frustrated turns into like being like, powerless or depressed, and it just like gets worse and worse and worse. So I love
Yeah.
what you said. It's a great reminder for all of us. And I highly recommend to, not make yourself wrong if you're ever feeling any type of way. It's part of the human experience, but if you can be aware of it and just know, like for me, if I notice myself feeling anything other than peace or content or feeling better than that, my only goal in life, my only intention in life is to return back to peace and content. Like I don't care what else is going on. Like that's
Yeah.
one focus. And so if I have to take a nap, I'll take a nap. If I have to, go out in nature, I'll do that. If I have to just meditate or whatever, like there's just tools that all of us can learn. And I know, Jessica, you're helping your clients with these tools.
Yeah. And the ability to switch, right, from a low level energy, thought, or emotion to another one is what is emotional health. That is what creates emotional health and mental health. The ability is, I'm not feeling, my best. I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling scared, or whatever we're feeling. And the ability to transform that, is what determines our mental and emotional health. And a lot of people, talk about, you got to stay, emotionally healthy, you got to have loving thoughts and things like that. But like we're talking about, being in that state all the time can be challenging. And like you said, like don't shame yourself or be upset with yourself if you find yourself in a lower level energy, because the ability to switch from a low to a high, a dark to the light, is what is resilience. And we can't build resilience without the willingness to inhabit all aspects of ourselves and our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings. And that's where the resilience gets built, is by recognizing, like I'm in the lower, I'm in the dark. I need to switch. I need to flip. And yeah, there are tons of tools. I mean, I teach them, I'm sure a handful as well, but that is really what it creates: emotional health, emotional fitness, is the ability to change.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And yeah, the tools are widely available. The most important thing is the I'm that Jessica just mentioned, because that's the awareness.
Yeah.
And without that, without the awareness, none of us have a choice to do anything about anything. So once you have that, I tell people, once you have awareness about anything, like we're already, and we never move past like 99% of the way there, because life is always in the moment. So even, we all have the capability of, feeling, sad and depressed or anything else. So, but I
Mhm.
always tell people, once the awareness is there, the last 1% is just, now what are we going to do about it? Like, how are we going to choose to live from here? And that's where tools and practice, really being able to give yourself grace, not expecting that you've lived all this life, however you are out there, emotionally eating or doing whatever else you've been doing, and thinking that like tomorrow that's going to be different. Like, unlikely.
Right.
Possible, I guess, but because everything's possibility, but unlikely. So, you know,
Yeah.
don't
We
be.
don't know if we'll get tomorrow. I mean, the way that the world is going, we really don't know if tomorrow will ever come. And that can be a really easy trap to get caught into, as an emotional eater, like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I already like fell off the wagon. Let me just finish this whole box, and tomorrow will be different. And that has such an energy of denial, and such an energy of like real procrastination, when we always have the opportunity to change. You could have something in your mouth and you can literally wake up in that moment and recognize, like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? And we can change in that moment. We don't have to wait for tomorrow. We don't have to wait to start over. We start now. We start now.
Absolutely. I'm so happy you said that. Like, that is something that has become probably one of my greatest strengths, because I just trust to clear my throat. Clear my throat. I muted it for everybody so you don't have to hear it. But I trust the inspiration, and I know that if I've been asking, questions on how I can, my life can improve, in certain areas or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden I get like an inspired thought, like, who's this Jessica human, and what's this quiz? Like, if I was hearing this right now and this was something that was resonating with me, I'd already be like typing in my info on Jessica's quiz. I act so quickly, like from the moment of inspiration to, from the second that I discovered Jessica's page and I saw what she was doing, I knew we'd have a conversation. She got a voice message from me within seconds. Like, it didn't take like this whole deliberation on, I wonder, you know, it just, I knew that there would be something shared that would be beneficial for those of you guys in the audience. And that's just a great way to live, because regardless of what the result is of the action step, there's going to be new life experience, which is going to benefit you either way. It's going to be, wow, I really love this, I want to keep going, like I'm seeing awesome improvements, or, oh, I learned something here and now I can go in this direction. It's like benefiting us either way. So,
Yeah.
pro life experience for sure.
Yeah. And we can also easily fall into this trap of, like, no matter what I do, it's never going to be enough. Right. And we can sort of fall into this trap of, like, oh, I've just been trying so hard and so much, and, nothing is working. And therefore it must mean that nothing I ever try will ever be enough. But in truth, um, there's the law of cause and effect, and action that we take has an equal or even greater reaction, even if we don't see it in the immediate, even if we don't see it right in front of our face. Everything is energy. So if you're in the emotional eating cycle, no matter where you are in it, if you take that step, and you take an action, no matter how small, whether it's just to take the quiz, or, reach out for help, or, something like that, it will always bring you forward. And the ego mind will always say, no, 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 it won't. It's not enough. It's not big enough. And I'm telling you, the law of cause and effect is in effect for all of us all the time.
I love that. Such great advice. Rewind that and listen to what Jessica said again. That's awesome, awesome awareness for all of us. And yes, like, the way to see the journey unfold, like the path unfold, is to know I am where I am, and what is it that where's the next step that I can take from here? Not needing to know how you're going to get to like the very end of the journey. Like, there is no end, but how are you going to get to the goal or the dream or whatever it is? Like, you're on the step that you're on. So whatever next step is inspired out of you from here is a great one. And once you're there and you're taking that step, then you'll see the next step revealed, and you continue taking steps. And then all of a sudden, if you continue to move forward, like Jessica said, now you're at the place where you want to be. And from there, there's something else in life that you get to put your attention on. I use Sandy's example again. I love that story.
Yeah.
Sandy, and just being able to, I love it because she's creating something totally in a different space. It would
Mhm.
be awesome if she was like helping people with the same challenge, but this is something that obviously she has a passion for and wants to see change in the world, which all of us have different things that we want to see change in the world because we all live different life experiences. And everybody out there listening, you can make an impact in any area of the world. That's why there's 7.7 billion of us here, because it creates the whole collective. Like if we only needed like one thing to be changed or evolved, and then just be one of us here, we didn't need to have all
Right.
of these people. So I love what you're doing, because it's freeing people to be able to go do that. And that's the humanity that I want to be a part of, is everybody is being able to get clear on what's most important to them, what they want to see evolve and change. And it doesn't have to be some like grandiose like thing. It could just be, I want to be able to be free enough to travel the world with family and friends and just enjoy life and just love everybody that's around
Yeah.
while I'm traveling. Like, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
I love it, Jessica. This has been awesome, awesome conversation. I just have one more question for you. I'm inspired to ask, and just want to see what flows out of you, because you've been doing it the whole time. Just knowing that the internet, as far as we know, is going to live forever, or at least in our lifetime. I don't think it's going anywhere. And so that somebody can see this episode, now when it's released, or 50 years from now, anything that flows out of you that you want humanity to know, that you feel whenever they hear it will make an impact on their life. I would love to hear anything that flows out of you.
Sure. I feel like that's such a big question. I would want people to know how valuable they are, how the role that they play in their life has such a vital impact on the people who surround them and their impact on this world. And to know that at the core of that impact is their health, and that the level of success, drive, peace, happiness that you want to have in the world really hinges on your health. And that's not just your physical health. I'm talking about your mental and your emotional and your spiritual health. And we live in a world, at least right now, where we celebrate self sacrifice and self destruction, and how far you've crawled on your hands and knees to get somewhere. And then, whenever you get there, then you can take care of yourself. And my wish and my hope for anyone who is watching this is that you recognize that that is a twisted perspective, and that what must come first is you and your health and your understanding of your value and your worthiness, so that you can take care of yourself as you walk whatever journey that you are on this planet to walk, so that you can continue to walk the journey, especially when it gets tough. And you can keep calm in your heart and your mind and connected to your inner knowing when those times get tough, so that you don't turn to self destruction and you don't turn to sabotage, but you keep going and you know how valuable and important you are no matter what.
Wow, Jessica, that was awesome. You just flowed out some really awesome energy right there. And one of the few moments in Enlightened Conversations history where I won't add anything to that. 'Cause that was so beautiful. Rewind again and listen to that section. That will be a good place to have this episode really hit home. And you just shared so many beautiful things on just different levels, just truths for all of us and great reminders. And I really appreciate you flowing that out. Very happy I asked you that question, because this podcast wouldn't have been complete without that flowing out of you. And that was awesome.
Well, I'm so grateful that you reached out, and so grateful for the light that you shine in the world, and this interview and the questions that you ask and the wisdom that you share. Keep doing what you're doing, because I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you for saying that and reflecting that back to you. We're just reflecting each other in this perfect co-creation, exactly what needs to be heard from anyone that's attracted to this episode to hear it. So I'm excited for you guys out there. And Thank you so much, Jessica, and thank you guys out there for tuning in to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Definitely share this episode. Will be a great impact to anyone that is inspired to listen, and continue to rate and review and subscribe if you're not already, so that more people can easily come in contact with these episodes. And just excited to keep talking to awesome humans like Jessica, a conversation I would have wanted to have with you anyway. And I've become a recording snob, Jessica. I just want to record everything and share it so that it can impact more people. So I'm happy we're able to do this today. And thank you for taking the time to come to share your love and light with the audience. You're awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. All right, you guys, have an amazing day whenever you're hearing this. Sending positive vibes to you all, and we will talk with you soon. Awesome. So much fun. That was good.
Yay.
Great episode.